tag argument's pretty fun for me. Just but you probably don't like it. You may think it's a circular argument. Would you agree?
Um, I, I, I sort of, I don't know if it's necessarily circular, but I think it's a dumb rhetorical trick to just simply define God into existence without actually providing anything substantial.
Right. Well, if I gave you something substantial, you would still have to use the logic and assume that logic is true to even look at it. So you have to account for why logic works first before, it's funny because I'll talk to like mathematicians and where we come down to whether numbers are true or we created numbers or logic is true, whether we created logic. They said that it's a formulation of just our mind and comprehension of reality. It's not real. It's not real metaphysics. It's our creation. But at the same time, they want to see evidence. And if they saw evidence, that would be either math, logic, science, which would be not real in their view. So it just kind of is a bit absurd. They want to see something that they don't believe in general that is real. And so I just think that's if logic's not real and your interpretation of reality isn't fundamentally real, then there is no evidence you can see because that evidence would still fundamentally not be real in your paradigm on how you see reality. So I think that's a little bit, again, an absurd thing to even want to see evidence when you don't believe your own eyes.
I don't really know exactly what all that meant, but for the holy crap, my computer just did something weird to for the
Like
to
metaphysics, if
justify.
you can
Well,
start there,
hold
do you
on,
believe in
I need to
metaphysics? Sure, sure.
talk,
Go ahead.
but to justify presuppositionalism, you have to justify outside of reality and presuppose that a supernatural realm exists and that you have
Yes.
access to a being that resides in it. So we don't do that kind of thing by presupposing, for example, naturalism or whatever. So I actually find by default that our presuppositions are far more parsimonious and grounded in something that we know is the case, a physical reality that we share. And that's what grounds logic to me. Logical statements are just part of the way language works
Why? Why does it work?
because there is an objective reality, or, well, I guess, yeah, you could call it reality, but there is a real material reality in front of us that exists.
Okay, but why does it work? I understand reality. I understand that reality works. I know reality works. Why does it work?
I don't think that that's even a valid question.
Really? You're not interested in why our logic works and why we can interpret morals and why we
Well,
can manipulate logic and, our environment to an extent that we can. How do you like what do you think is causing us to be able to do that?
to be able to, that there is a material reality in front of us that operates according to like a fixed set of natural laws, and so
And
it is
why we can
intelligible.
interpret it so well and why we have logic to be able to interpret, use math and,
The first part of the first part, how do I say this? My answer to the first part is what I literally just said. The second part, why does logic work? Because it's grounded in that reality itself.
I understand. Yes, you are describing, even a comment here says, because we can explain reality through common language. Yes. Why does common language work? Why does our brain function in a way that we can interpret reality and understand it and then explain
Because
it
our
to each
brains
other?
are part of reality.
100%. That's not answering the question of why does it work? It's not, you're presupposing it works. Why does it work?
No, I don't presuppose that it works. We test our ideas literally all the time.
Why does testing ideas and having proof work? Why does that work?
You're
Why does
just
proof prove anything?
Why does proof prove anything?
Yeah, how do we prove something? Not you're again you're extending out what I'm talking about into reality. You're taking too many steps beforehand.
What?
Why does it work? Why does our logic work at understanding the universe? Like that's my question of why from the beginning does it work? That's what I'm so interested in. Is it because evolution? Is it because of monkey? Is it because amoebas? Like, where do we get the ability to do what we do from the beginning?
I don't even know what that means. Like I could tell you how brains work. I could tell you how
Sure,
our how we are able to collect sense information from the
sure, sure.
material reality in front of us.
Yeah,
But then you just say, why does any of that work in the first place? I mean,
exactly.
it's like a computer produces images the way it's supposed to. Why?
Because we
Because the
made it.
code has no errors in it, and because the
Yep,
code is programmed to work that way.
yep.
Why? Well, now I can't tell if you're asking me why does the universe exist or why do things do things.
Why does the universe exist in a
Okay,
way
well
that is
that's not a tag
no, no,
argument.
uh, it is because it's without. So the way the tag argument works, it's not to win the debate. It's not an argument per se. It eliminates all other options. If you can fit another option there that can justify logic and morals and everything that we experience, then justify it and make sure it makes sense. Now, before getting
But
into
but you're avoiding the burden of proof by doing that
the burden of proof is the fact that you
on the
can
person
understand
making the
proof.
claim. Your
No,
claim
no,
is
it's
that
not a
without God
claim.
this is impossible.
It's not a claim. It's an acknowledgement of transcendence. I have an acknowledgement that I have been given logic and morals and reason by my creator in his image so
That
I may understand the
that
world.
needs to
So,
be substantiated though.
but I'm not, here's what you're not understanding. I am not telling you that you must understand my understanding of reality. That is my epistemic framework of how I see reality. What I would ask you is, what is your epistemic framework that gives you the justification to use morals and logic? That's mine. You don't have to accept
I
it.
reject that morals exist in terms of logic.
So why do you use them?
Logical. Sorry.
So if you don't believe that morals exist, why do you presuppose they do by being a moralistic person and doing quote unquote good, even though good is quote unquote not real?
Because I take a what I think you would call like a normative ethical framework. I mean, we already talked about this.
Yeah, it does turn into, if you notice with yours, no offense, it turns into an absurdity and it turns into having to presuppose normative claims, which is, well, because other people don't hurt people, I don't hurt people. If other people do this, because I do that. So you're just basically connecting yourself with everybody else, or it's just, I want to do good because it's my preference, or I don't know why I want to do good, or I do good because monkey do good. It becomes an absurd reality to live in, and you can't function in that reality. So you must presuppose morals into it, because again, you're fun. It's like being a determinist, but and then your political view is a libertarian. Okay, well that doesn't make sense. You can't think that everything is predestined and then total freedom at the top. Your absurdity in morality has absolutely no foundation. You keep saying normative claims, less harm, all these things, but you always appeal to others, the fact that others do it, or you appeal to yourself in your personal preference. So it just becomes, again, a bit of an absurd claim. So I just think in metaphysics, I don't know if you've looked into metaphysics or talk about it, but again, from what we've talked about, it believes that you don't believe metaphysics are real things, even though you cannot function as a human without them.